Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you all so much for joining us today for this live stream event. My name is Alexia, and I am the program manager of the Microsoft Reactor Toronto. I will be sharing session resources with you in the chat. But before we begin, I'd like to quickly review two items: our code of conduct and event guidelines. First, please take a moment to review our code of conduct. Microsoft Reactor seeks to provide a respectful environment for both our audience and presenters. We encourage engagement in the chat, but please be mindful of your commentary, remain professional and on topic. And secondly, our event guidelines. The session is being recorded and will be available on demand through the Microsoft Reactor YouTube channel in about 24 to 48 hours. I will be sharing the link in the chat for our on-demand content. And if you have not been on a live stream through YouTube before, please note that you must create an account on YouTube in order to have access and interact in the chat. You can set that up now, and if you're unable to use the chat but have questions, feel free to reach out to us through social media or on our website. Which brings us to today's session. I'm going to bring in our speaker here for today, Pablito and Seba. Hello, hello.
Hey, how are you?
Good, good. Thanks for joining us again today for part 2 of the Generative AI on Azure Fundamentals mini-series. We're very excited to have you here. So yeah, thanks again for being with us.
Oh, thank you. But first, let me introduce myself again. Last Monday we will talk about the Generative AI on Azure, the fundamental part 1. Today is part 2. I am Pablo Piovano, Microsoft MVP and Director of AI at OS Digital Consulting. Joining me today is Seba. Hey, Seba.
Hi, Pablito, everyone. I hope you are doing great today. As Pablo mentioned, this is the part 2. It doesn't matter if you haven't been in the last session. You can watch it after this one. We will show different stuff today. So, I'm very happy to be here with you, Pablo. And let's start. Maybe we can do a short recap of what we have discussed last Monday. What do you think?
Okay, well, last Monday we explored how LLMs work, took a deep dive into the AI Foundry, AI Azure Foundry, and showcases multiple demos, including TTS Avatar and the multimodal capability of GPT-4o in vision and audio. Today, Seba will explain the key differences between traditional model and resonant model, including GitHub models. Then we will talk you through several demos of Power application that you can leverage for your POC or project, right? We will also share in the chat all the links to last Monday topic and everything we will cover today. So let's get started, Seba.
Yeah, sure. Today we will focus on development. We will try to share everything that is available for you to create your applications. And most of the tools that we are going to show are free. So it's great to start and, maybe develop your first application using AI, right? Mm-hmm. So the first thing we are going to talk is the traditional models. I mean, we talk about models. We can say that a model is a trained algorithm that will answer your request. We have different approaches to classify these models. This traditional approach is not a real thing, but is a way that we can identify some models that they look into their knowledge and try to generate a response the best that the model can do, and it is going to be the same way that a human being can do it, right? I mean, the response is in natural language, and you cannot identify if if it was generated by a human or the model, right? That's what we call traditional models. We have, for example, different approaches. I mean, we have different purpose for the models. Some models can generate images. Some models can generate music, videos, and in other approach, that this is the one that we are going to discuss today, are the one that just generate a response based on your request. And there are other models that has a way to think and try to solve complex situations. I mean, if I ask you to solve, for example, a very complex math problem, you are going to make a step-by-step solution, try to identify at first the problem, then try to get the context information, then try to apply maybe some idea, and then with that partial solution, you can do a step further and try to generate a complete solution. So that's the way that we usually think. And the reasoning models do the same. I mean, they are not just generating a response, but doing a series of steps trying to generate a solution for a complex situation, right? So they will be they will take more time to respond, because they have to execute that series of steps instead of just generating a response. And they are focused on trying to solve a complex situation. I mean, if you just want to interact with someone and there are no problems in the interaction, the most suitable models will be the traditional ones. But if you we will try to solve a problem, that these models are more effective to solve that. So let's see some examples. But let me introduce first GitHub models that are models that are already deployed, and you can try them for free, and you can use them with a limited capacity using your GitHub account. So you don't have to pay for that. But of course, these models are for testing or development, not for production. So you can use it to leverage your applications to test it, but not to deploy an application because you have limited capacity. But the idea is that you can test your idea and develop something, right? So let's take a look to the GitHub models. I'm in the GitHub models page now. Yeah. This is the page that where you will find a lot of models. As I mentioned, you have a lot of different models based on different approaches. You have a lot of them. I can say that the one that has an R are like this one, DeepSeek R1, or the one that is O with a number, O1, O1 mini, O1 preview, and O3 mini. That models are the one that make reasoning, right? So we are going to compare how the response is different, right? So let's take a traditional one, the GPT-4o mini, and let's try an input. How do I prepare a good Argentinian barbecue?
It's a good topic.
Oh, no, I am misspelling, right? I mean, but let's do it anyways. I mean, I think that the model is going to...
The LLM understand.
Yes. We call it asado in Spanish. So for us,
Yes.
it's weird to ask in English. But first thing, notice the speed of the response. I mean, it's quite fast. It's a quick response. And it's just a response. I mean, there is no steps there is no reasoning, right? So it's just a response, right? And it's quite fast. Let's see how it works in the different model. How do I prepare a good Argentinian? I'm going to say asado. And first thing, notice that it's taking more time to respond because it's reasoning, right? So it's taking time, making steps in the reasoning, and well, the different is going to be the answer is going to be different. And if you maybe if you don't pay attention, it's going to be the same. But if you pay attention to the response, it's like more structured as steps. I mean, the first step, second step, the other one was ingredients and different details, but this one is like different steps, right? And we can use even a different approach. Let me show, for example, how DeepSeek R1 does. How I prepare an Argentinian asado. And what you are seeing right now is the reasoning, right? DeepSeek, as it is open source, it shows how the reasoning is. So what you are seeing now is the reasoning process that the model is doing, right? So you can see how the model is trying to solve the situation I asked. So you are going to notice that there is a think tag that is identifying the reasoning process. It's taking time. So this is something that you have to consider if you want quick responses or you want slower responses, but with a reasoning steps, right? Okay, it is still reasoning. It's still reasoning, and I know that the request I've been doing is very, I don't know, it's not something complex. But if you ask for I don't know, math problem or maybe a situation that is not explicit, but you have to think about that, this model is going to be the best to do that, right? So, for example, I'm using as I told you, you have a limited capacity, and well, I reach the maximum amount of information that I can handle in these in these operations. So use these models to test, as I told you, but don't use it in production because it's going to have problems, right? And what if you want to use it in your applications? I mean, this is great to test it by hand, but how I can do it in my applications? Well, if you notice, you have a green button at the top of the screen, and you can see here, you can follow a step-by-step tutorial with the code that you can use in your applications and with different languages. I'm a C# developer, so I really love C#, but of course you can use any option here. You have in every model and in every situation, you have different SDKs that you can use. So in this case, you can follow the examples. As you can see, you have to generate your credentials of the credentials of your GitHub account to use it. It's going to be for free, but you have to generate a couple of steps in your GitHub account, and then you can just copy this code with this thing, and you can run this in your local environment. So this is the easiest way to integrate these models to your application, and you can give a try and see how it works. Let's see another example in maybe another language. In Python, for example, you have the same, and you have different approaches also. I mean, different scenarios that you can use to enhance your applications, right? At last, if you use GitHub Codespaces, that is online environment, development environment, you can run these examples in your environment, right? Using the GitHub Codespaces that is totally online. I mean, you don't have to install anything in your own computer. It's very similar to Visual Studio Code, and you can run the examples here if you don't want to install anything or run it in your own local environment, right? So that's the options that you have. And what you have to consider is which is the best model for your situation, right? First thinking on the problem, and then selecting the best approach. And you have benchmarks and performance for each model, but I think that the best way to find the most suitable model for your application is try. I mean, practice, and this is a great way to try different models and see which is the best for your applications. I don't know, Pablito, what do you think? Have you used GitHub models?
Excellent. Yes. For this is super useful when you start to learn something, or when you compare different models. This is the best way or the fast way to achieve, to compare, and using that you show us how to use in our code. Well, we have different limitation about the code per day, but it's super useful for test the model or use for a quick POC. But then when we use, or in other words, when we move to production, okay, we need to go to Azure AI Foundry, and because it's for different approach, right? But yeah, it's for me it's super useful. And in the chat we had different question about is the recipe is true or false, the barbecue. But I will say yes.
There is a thing, because everyone here is going to have a different recipe. So someone is going to say that is correct, someone is going to say that it's not. It depends on the
different
person.
style. Yes, different style. Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Perfect.
All right, Pablito, you can continue. What do you
Yeah.
have for?
Yes. Alicia, could you switch to my screen? Perfect. Well, after start with show some demos, I want to explain the limitation of the LLMs, because then we will explain the RAG pattern, and then we will show different demos in AR Fund, in Azure AI Foundry, in Python, in using the GPT for our real time, .NET, okay, well, and SQL too. Well, after that, I had to mention that we have two limitations of LLM. The first is outdated public knowledge. The language model only know what they have learning up to a certain point in time. Is if information change, like new software version, for example, the model may provide incorrect or outdated answer, right? Another thing is the lack of internal knowledge. The LLMs do not have access to uh, private or internal company data. For example, if you ask about employee benefits, the model won't be able to answer because it doesn't have access to that information, right? Um, we have three approach to integrate domain knowledge, right? The prompt engineer that we show us last Monday, the fine tuning, right? The fine tuning allows you to model to learn new skill permanently by training it on domain specific data. This is useful when we need AI to perform specialized tasks with high accuracy. However, fine-tuning um, comes with cost and time constraint, especially if our data changes frequently. In such cases, retraining the model repeatedly is not a good option, right? This is the reason that we have the RAG, or retrieval argument generation. This is a technique that helps AI models access up-to-date and relevant information without requiring retraining, right? This is the advantage. Well, for example, this is a quick explanation about that. For example, the user asks a question. For example, it all starts when a user submit a query. In this case, do my company pairs cover underwater activities? Then we have the document search. The RAG searches for relevant information in database, documents, or APIs. In this case, it finds a document mentioning company benefits, including scuba lesson, right? And the first step, the LLM takes the retrieval information and generate an accurate response based on the data fonts. In this example, it responds, yes, your company pairs cover underwater activities such as scuba diving. Now, I will show you some demos where you can use it, right? Let me go to the Azure AI Foundry. Yes. And here I will use different documents, PDF file with the employee handbook for our fictitious company, Contoso. This document includes details about care plans, company benefits, and more. Yes, we will use this document in different demos. Let me switch to here. Here I am in Azure AI Foundry, right? I create the hub, the project, the resource. We move forward to show the demo, right? Here I have different projects. In this case, only I create this project for this hub and for this demo. And then go to the project. Here we can see the models endpoint that we have. This different model I deployed in these sections, and here we have connect different resources. For example, Azure AI Search, the AI services, and the block storage. Azure AI Search is a vector database that we will use to embedding and save vectors in the database for the RAG. But let me show you how is the process. Then I go to the project, right? I have different options that Seba showed us last Monday. Here in the playground, I go to the playground. And remember, it's the same that we show you the last Monday. But for example, we generate the prompt here. Or first, we can select the different models. In this case, I will select GPT-4o Mini. Here, for example, we can generate the prompt using AI. It's super useful because generate the model instruction and context the best way for the LLM to understand. But the important thing here, is the Azure data, right? Azure data is we can create our index, right? We have different steps. For example, in my case, I will upload files, but you have connect with different resources. For example, AI Search, MongoDB, some that index you create in Azure AI Foundry. using data that you have in block storage, the storage URL, or upload files. Here, I can upload all the files, right? It will be take some time. Next, here I will pick the resource, the AI search, to generate the index. Here I have this resource for this specific project, and then I type a vector index that we will use in the LLM, right? Maybe this take 5-10 minutes. In this case, I created to move forward quickly. Here, for example, I will let me, for example, tell me about my benefits in healthcare plan, right? I have different. Okay, let me say. Okay, let me say. Okay, I need information about on. Let me try to find information. Okay, let me use the same questions. Here we go. Yes. I use the same question that I mentioned in the slide. Do my company pairs cover underwater activities? And here, the LLM or find this this query, give to the Azure AI search. Azure AI search find the correct answer using vector search, and then return this information to the LLM to generate the answer. In this case, the answer is yes, your company pair under the pair plus pronoun include blah, 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 blah. And here, give me the reference where the LLM used to generate the answer, right? But the important thing is, okay, I upload my files, I pick my LLM, but here we have the option to deploy this application, right? This is for our POC or for show quickly in my team or somebody to take some decision with the application. And we have this option that we can deploy the application, right? For time, I show you. When you deploy the application, you will have this, the AI search, the Cosmos DB, because in this application, search the history of the chat, right? And when you deploy it, we will take some application like that, right? This, I will try the application with the same question, and here we have the reference, right? And we have the chat history that saved in the Cosmos DB, right? This is the first approach, and it's super quickly to generate a POC from Azure AI Foundry. On the chat, we will show a list of resources. In this case, we have, let me find, yes, this link that you can find step by step how to deploy an enterprise chat web app from Azure AI Foundry, right? It's super easy. And another thing we have a GitHub repository. This is the same application that we use here, right? Only you change the environment variables using your, in your web app, you can find the environment variables. You set the values and then replace in the here in the M file, and that is you can run and you can follow step by step how to deploy from scratch. But you can run this project locally. You modify, and for example, I have a version. This is in my company. This is for a regulatory reporting. This is the same application adapted for a specific use case using a specific data. In this case, I have different data about regulations using the about the insurance, right? But this is the best way how do you create a POC in 10-15 minutes using your data, using Azure AI Foundry, right? Another thing that
Let me,
yes,
Pablito, let me drop a question for the audience.
yes.
In which scenarios would you use this kind of structure? I mean, in which scenarios would you use a rack pattern for your AI? Let us
When
know in
you
the comments.
when okay, thank you. When you data update every week, or you need to have data private data that the LLM never use your data, for example, for your company. In this case, I use this document that is hypothetical or fictitious company. But imagine your company, you have a lot documents. You can use your document, for example, document RH or a specific area, that you can create a copilot or application, the web app application, using LLM and your documents, your files, right? This is the best usage case.
Nice.
Another usage case that I will show. This is the using semantic kernel, .NET, and SQL, right? Let me move to. This is another demo. This is here. I have an application using .NET, right? And this application connects to Azure SQL, right? In this case, I have claims, customers, uh, policies, right? And I can chat with my data. Let me show you quickly. This is a, let me zoom in. I have a question. For example, could you provide me with the information about Robert Cook? And the LLM generate the query, right? And execute this query, and the retrieval information in this query used for generate the answer, right? In this case, for example, customer, let me put this, and we have this information, sorry, about this information the LLM used to generate this answer, right? Perfect. I have more questions for the LLM. Let me copy and paste more quickly. In this question is, what type of policy does Robert have, right? This is another. And Robert Cat has activity policies, car insurance and boat insurance. For example, if I go to the database, I can check that. And I want to more details about the description for the policies. Here, give me the description for the policies, right? If I go to the SQL, the LLM find the customer ID that in this case, this customer ID, use this customer ID to find, for example, this record, yes, and another record more, but using to generate the answer, right? Find the different records and then generate the answer. It's super useful when you chat, not only with your documents in the previous demo. Now we can chat with our data in SQL, right? In this case, it's a simple project that you can find in this list on link. This is the repo, and you can follow step by step, and then you can chat or using LLM connect with the Azure SQL, right? Another thing, important thing here, let me show you. I have this table, the communication history, right? In this case, I'm using embeddings, right? For the details field, where I can perform query with embeddings, and it allows me to find similar information, even if the term don't not exactly match, right? For example, let me copy and paste and another questions. For example, in communication history, Robert Coates has requested a rebate. Here we can see how in my query I use rebate. By using the similarity or cosine distance function, it found a record with the word refund. Yes. For example, in this is the record, and use refund. Yes, this is the magic of the the similarity record, because when can find similarity records, even if different terms are used, rebate, refund, reimbursement, for example, this open up a new way for us to search our SQL records, not only by text, but also by vectors, right? This is the super difference. Seba, what do you think of this?
Yeah, I was reading the questions. I think that is very useful. I mean, when you have your own data and your model doesn't know anything on your information, and you want a quick way to have the responses, and it's a very fast way to have it. I mean, it's great for that. One other option would be to retrain your model. That would take a lot of time, a lot of resources, but this is great. I mean, it's a great way to do it, and you can also combine it with the reasoning models that we discussed before, because if you have information around there, I mean, from the database, and you have to make some process or to take a decision based on your information, you can use the reasoning models to get that information, process it, and suggest a decision for you.
Exactly. Well, now, do you want more demos? Yes.
I would say yes, but
okay.
I let the audience to say that.
This is another demo that last Monday, we show you how to use this model in Azure AI Foundry. This is the model is GPT-4o real-time API, right? Now that Azure OpenAI real-time API can process and generate audio directly. We need to consider how to implement the retrieval argument generation, RAG pattern, for voice-centric application. Well, to explore this, we have a small example application that demonstrates both how it works and how it was built, right? Again, I have some files in PDF format contain the employee handbook of fictitious company, but this is the try. I try to use the same data for this demo. Let me. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Yeah. I run it locally. Yes. I need to share my screen using this. Let me share my screen again. Sorry about that. Because I need used to the audio. Yes. I will try. Well, I will talk with my data, right? Let me try. Hello. Does the company employee perks include scuba diving lesson?
Yes, the company's employee perks include scuba diving lessons. 509-404 FHD HD.
Okay.
If you have any more questions, feel free to ask.
Yes, I have one. What are my options for hair care plans?
I couldn't find specific information on hair care plans offered by the company. Please check your employee
Okay,
benefit.
thank you.
You have any more questions, feel free to ask. I'm here to help.
Yes. The plan include emergency care.
Yes, the plan includes coverage for emergency services, both in-network and out-of-network. For in-network providers, the cost of treatment, including hospitalization.
Wait, cambiemos a español.
Claro. Dime qué necesitas saber.
¿Están incluidos los exámenes anuales de vistas en el programa de salud?
Sí, el programa de salud de
Okay,
Contoso.
gracias. Could you speak in English again?
Yes, of course. How can I assist you in English?
Okay, this solution is an example of how, with Azure OpenAI Real-Time API and Azure AI Search, we can implement the RAG pattern and interact with our data using voice and
Yeah,
in
in
different
real
language,
time.
right? In real
It's great.
time. And this project I running, locally. Yes, of course. The LLM, the AI search is on the cloud, but the application is running in my browser locally, right?
Yeah. Taking account, we discussed about models. There are specific models that works the best in real time. Not, for example, the recent ones that they are going to take more time to respond. But you can use the models that are better for real time, and well, they are going to work as Pablo showed.
Exactly. Yes. This model is specific for the talking. Is fine tuning for this domain. Here we can check the data that the LLM used to give me the answer, right? You can find this example in our repository in the link. Where is here? You can find the repository and the repo, and you can do the same. And you have an explanation how this application works. Yeah, and you can set up locally, or you can use GitHub Codespace, or in my case, I use dev container running in Docker. For example, I have my Docker running, right? This is different option that you can use to run this project, right?
Awesome.
Well, I have another demo, right?
Go for it.
Okay.
Go for it, and then we can go for the questions. That we have a lot of questions to answer. But go for it. Go for it.
Perfect. Thank you. This is Azure AI Foundry agents. This is still in preview. We will likely see more features coming around May. But the key takeaway is that agents are here to make our life easier by automatically managing conversation state. This means conversation can be remembered and maintained in separate sessions without having to manually handle the history, right? We also have file support. Yes, let me show you. We have file support. Another key feature is the code interpreter, which lets us run code within the model, making it useful for data data analysis and advanced calculation, right? This is super useful because you have a sandbox that you can run Python code to resolve problems, right? And you have another feature like function callings and different integration. For example, you can use Open API, Azure Functions, logic apps, and you can add different models. In this case, I think in the near future we can grounding data using the Bing search that you can find in real time information, public information. And well, we have different favors, but again, I repeat, this 2025, this technology is start growing and they will add more features. But let me try this here. This create this agent, and in this case, I use a CVS file. Yes, let me. This is the file. This CSV contains sales data for product for a specific category in a region. Well, you have a lot of data, a ton of records, right? I use this file. Let me try in the playground this agent. Oh, yeah, perfect. Well, you can use or you can type help, for example, and then the agent give me a different question that he helped me. For example, the revenue by region. Oh, because he understand the data and give me follow-up questions about the data. But I will use this prompt. What are the total say for Europe broken down in category? You can, for example, group the region, find the Europe region, and then you group for category and summarize the revenue, right? It's not easy, but I don't know what's happened. Let me try. Take a minute. Yeah. Here, give me the answer. In the total say, Europe broken by category, and summarize and group the category, and first find the Europe region, then a group for category, and then summarize the total size. This is super useful, but it's not only that. You can create graph, put this data in a graph. I have this data, and create a graph. In this case, using code interpreter, and use different libraries. In this case, matplotlib, and the agent for me generate a graph. Right? It's super useful. That using this is the evolution that the virtual assistant, that you can upload your files using the code interpreter to resolve a different problem. And for example, I need this data in a pair chart. I request for a specific chart, and the agent using code interpreter and generate another graph, right? Well, that's all. I wanted to show you
No, great job.
Azure AI agent, because in 2025, in this year, we will develop many agents, and this field is growing rapidly, and it's going to be extremely useful for our AI project, right? For me, this is the next generation of the evolution that this year we can start our POC, right?
Yeah, definitely. And an agent also is capable of executing tasks. I mean, for example, you can set an agent to send emails, for example, and you would
Exactly.
say, okay, take this information and email to Pablito, saying that this is as a subject, that this is the balance, and it will execute the task. That a chat doesn't execute anything. I mean, it retrieves information in a great way, but doesn't execute any information. So, yeah, something that it's will be very trending topic this year, I think.
Yes. Well, the idea is growing with the integration. In this case, we have Azure AI Azure functions, but you can in the next version they will add the Azure Logic App, that you have 1,400 connectors that you can connect with everything, and hey. This is super useful, not only for integrations, because it's super useful for because the agent managing the conversation state, and they can be remaining and maintaining in separate sessions. Here we have different three files. Sorry, here we have different tree, yes, and this is super useful when you manage everything behind the scene. Is a lot code, but using AI agent is more easy to maintain that, right?
Yeah, we have 5 minutes. Why don't we take some of the questions and try to solve
Okay.
them. Yeah. Let's see. There was one interesting about the cost of deploying and have everything working. So how do you estimate the cost of I don't know, having this infrastructure working?
Depends. You can, well, you have the cost for the token that you here. For example, here we have the token in the agent, right? This is the token you pay per token. Depend the model, you have different costs. Azure OpenAI
I mean,
model.
having a model is not expensive. I mean, you deploy a model and you don't have to pay for deploying a model, but for the use. I mean, the more tokens that you use, the more amount of tokens that you have to pay for. But if you extend the capabilities of the chat, I mean, if you add rack pattern information, indexes, and everything, the cost is going to be higher. But as Paul is showing, the cost of executing tokens is quite cheap.
But here this is the AI search that you can create. If a POC, you can create this resource in free trial. The cost is 0 for your POC. Then you have different layers that you move to production or test environment. And well, in this application, you have the cost of the web app services, the Cosmo DB, and the AI search and the token that you use. But remember, it's a POC that you can create in 10, 15 minutes. Application that you can chat with LLM using your data, and you can save your chat history per user. For example, if you save a login to this application, because I'm using my tenant, in this case, you need to log in, right? It's not public application. The chat history, you save the chat history per user, right? If you load next week, you can go back to the last question that you use in the web app, right? This is an excellent way to create POC. In Asian, well, the cost talking about the LLM is more increased because here you pass different files, all the history, the chat, graph. Well, the amount of token is increased, but remember, this model are super cheaper. Let me find.
Yeah, that price is high for 1 million of tokens. Million.
Yes, and you can use the mini. It's more cheaper. But if we use the old one or the reasoning model, the cost changes. But if for a specific use case, for example, you need to orchestrator to resolve some problem, to find which is the best source that you can use for answer this question. Well, I think the O3 Mini is a good option for use this LLM to orchestrate a multi-agent architecture, for example. This is my opinion, obviously, but hey, yes, the cost every month decrease in the GPT-4o model or the GPT-4o model. The GPT-4.5 is more cheaper, more expensive. But hey, you can select different models that Seba showed us. The GitHub Marketplace model. You can select the model O3, the GPT-4o, or another Phi, the small language model, and you can test and compare, and then you select, depend the use case. Normally in the project you can use 3-4 models in the same application, because you can switch or use a specific model for a specific task. This is the best practice. For example, if you need to translate something, you can use a Phi model or a GPT-4o mini model that achieve these tasks excellent.
Great. We are on time, so I know that we have a lot of questions. I'm inviting everyone that has a question to reach us in different channels, social networks. You will find Pablito, me, with the same handle everywhere. So feel free to reach us, and we will be happy to answer your questions, and to help you to deploy your first application using AI.
Yes, it's been great sharing these 2 episodes of Generative AI with you, Seba. Big thanks to the Microsoft Reactor team, and especially thanks to Alicia for all the support behind the scenes. Thank you all for joining us. We hope you found this session helpful. If you have any more questions, feel free to reach out in LinkedIn or in different social media. Second again, and see you next time.
Right. Thank you, Pablito. Thank you, everyone. See you.
Take care.